In today's episode, we will cover what it means to lead in the digital age. And I will also share 3 things that you can do to become a digital leader today. Welcome to the Tech for Non-Techies podcast. I'm your host, tech entrepreneur, executive coach, and Chicago Booth MBA, Sophia Matveeva. My aim here is to help you have a great career in the digital age. In a time when even your coffee shop has an app, you simply have to speak tech. On this podcast, I share core technology concepts, help you relate them to business outcomes, and most importantly, share practical advice on what you can do to become a digital leader today. If you want to have a great career in the digital age, this podcast is for you. Hello, smart people. How are you today? I've got a slight cold, but it is a sunny spring morning in London, and I am choosing to be in a good mood anyway. I tend to be in a good mood when I know I get to speak to you. Today, we are going to cover an important topic. We're going to cover what it means to lead in the digital age. And this is useful because you are clearly a smart and ambitious person. So you want a big outcome for your career. But if you're fuzzy on that outcome, well, then you're likely to go down cul-de-sacs, and that's not very productive or fun. Basically, if you don't know where you're going, how on earth are you going to get there? And this lesson is going to help you clarify that. In today's lesson, we've got 3 parts. So number 1, first, we're going to define what leadership is. Then we're going to move on to what leadership looks like in the digital age. And finally, in the 3rd section, I will share some points about what you can do to become a digital leader today. So it's going to be a bit of philosophy, a bit of concept, and then we're going to get super practical. Now, in return for this high quality education that I'm giving to you for free, I do ask you to leave this show a rating and a review. You know what happens when you leave a rating and a review? Other people like you get to discover this show. And it really does help me with my work. So I'm hoping that I'm helping you with your work. So please do help me with mine. And now let's define leadership. Here is a definition that I like. Leadership is a set of behavioral choices to create a better future. This definition comes from Dr. Linda Ginzel, who was one of my professors at Chicago Booth. She wrote an excellent book called Choosing Leadership: How to Create a Better Future by Building Your Courage, Capacity, and Wisdom. It is a really good book on leadership, and if you're interested in leadership as a topic, I highly recommend you read it. I've pasted the link in the show notes. So let's just go back to this definition and delve a bit deeper into it. The definition is: leadership is a set of behavioral choices to create a better future. Let's take the better future segment to start with. In order to take actions towards a better future, you first need to define what that better future is. So a big part of leadership is having an idea of what the future can look like. And this means having a vision of a better outcome. And this doesn't just apply to the workplace. You can have a vision of a better future for your family, for your personal life, for your country, and so on. Maybe you're the first person in your family who has gone to university. And this shows that you have held a vision for your own better future and taken actions towards it. Well done. Deciding on a future vision is scary because it's in the future, right? So you can't see it yet. And because you can't see it, you don't know if you're 100% right or if the path that you have chosen is going to work out. Look at Nelson Mandela. He had a vision of a united post-apartheid South Africa. And he held on to that vision for 27 years while he was in prison. And this shows that courage is a huge part of leadership. It takes courage to set a vision for a better future, and it takes even more courage to take steps every day to move towards it. Look at Dr. Ginzel's definition again. Leadership is a set of behavioral choices to create a better future. Being a leader isn't just about being the visionary. It is also about taking action. It is about changing your behavior. So, for example, you made the choice to educate yourself today. This is a behavioral choice to invest in your career instead of listening to a true crime podcast, for example. So you are the leader of your own life, and you're right now taking a behavioral choice to build a better future for yourself. And I salute you for that. There's one more thing in this section on leadership. There's this image of managers being boring, unimaginative duds and leaders being visionary revolutionaries. This means that everybody wants to be a leader and kind of despises managers. And this is a false dichotomy. You can and you should be both a leader and a manager, because management is about today and leadership is about tomorrow. Management answers the question how, and leadership is about where. So let's take a life example. Maybe you've got this vision of retiring in the south of France, a choice I obviously commend. For this, you want to learn French and spend some time in the region, and that's your vision. But unless you book a vacation and plane tickets and find a place to stay, that vision will not come true. So to make a vision come true, you need management. So I recommend that you start thinking of yourself as both a manager and a leader, and think, where am I leading? Where am I managing? Where am I taking actions that are literally about today? And where is it future focused? And now let's move on to what it means to lead in the digital age. Leading in the digital age does not mean managing a team of engineers or making your own website. There are people who can do both of these things, and they make terrible leaders. Leading in the digital age means being able to set the vision. Remember, we're talking about vision, future focus, set the vision for where you want to go, and being able to inspire and recruit the right people to get you there. So remember, the definition of leadership is setting a course towards a better future and taking actions to get there. In the digital context, this means being able to inspire and set the vision for engineers, data scientists, designers, and product managers, as well as for the business team. And being a digital leader does not mean that you have to learn to code or to become a technical expert. In order to lead in the digital age, you need to speak tech, not do tech. Speaking tech means knowing the core terminology, understanding the main differences between how digital teams work versus how traditional business teams work, and also having a basic understanding of what your technical colleagues do. And this is not that hard to do. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you are definitely well on your way. People who take our one-day workshop on how to speak tech for leaders report having much more knowledge and confidence to work with their tech colleagues literally just after one day. So I'm telling you, it is not that hard to learn how to speak tech and to collaborate with your tech colleagues. And one more thing before we move on to the things that you can actually do. A true digital leader can create an environment where the tech side and the non-tech side collaborate effectively. I've seen people who really do understand tech concepts and business concepts really well, but who just can't create a collaborative environment between these two sides. So they can speak to them individually, but they can't bring them together. And there's actually this company I know where the engineers and the business side barely speak to each other. And this is a disaster. It's really dysfunctional. So essentially, when there are new versions of the product, then the sales team, who are, really customer facing, they completely fall into despair because the product is not what customers want, because it was built really without them in mind. It was built kind of by the engineers sitting there thinking about what they want to build. This company that I'm thinking of, it needs leadership to bring the two sides together and to create a regular dialogue and to create a shared vision, so then they can make products that people actually want and will pay for. So you see, all this digital leadership stuff isn't just a bunch of fluff. If you don't have real digital leadership in a company, that company is not going to make products that people want, and thus it will not make money. Do I have your attention now? Since our entire economy is going through digital transformation, because even your coffee shop has an app, as you know, investing in your skill set as a digital leader is the best possible thing you can do for your career. It is honestly a gift that keeps on giving. And when we define digital leadership like that, then it means that a corporate strategist, a lawyer, or a founder can all be digital leaders, because making the choice to be a digital leader means learning how to collaborate with colleagues on the tech side. And that is definitely something that you can do. It is not beyond your reach. Being a digital leader means learning enough about what your tech colleagues do and also knowing when it's appropriate to say, I don't know. Remember, the key is knowing enough to collaborate and lead and to work with a tech client and not to actually, do the technology yourself. Okay, now let's move on to part 3. What can you do to become a digital leader today? Well, I've got 3 bits of advice for you in this 3rd section. I know it's very symmetrical today. Number 1, you have to learn to speak tech. Are you surprised I said that? Bet you're not. A good place to start is the free course that I lovingly made for you on the top 5 tech concepts that every business leader needs to know. And it is on the Tech for Non-Techies website, and I've also pasted this free course on the show notes. If you like this podcast, then you will find this course useful too, and it's free. So what's your excuse for not doing it? And to go deeper, obviously get in touch with us about our executive education programs, which are excellent. Okay, number 2, here's the 2nd thing you could do to really tailor this knowledge to your industry. So remember that leadership is about setting the future. So I recommend that you investigate where your industry is going. And here is a good hack for how to do this. Find a tech startup accelerator that focuses on your industry specifically and go to their events, either in person or online, and study what startups they have in their latest cohorts. So this year, last year, maybe the year before. These tech startup accelerators, they will show you the frontier of your industry, because this is the bit of your industry that is super future focused, and it's where future focused people like venture capitalists are making bets. So if you want to be a digital leader, then study what's happening in your industry accelerators. So for example, if you work in fashion, look at what the New York Fashion Tech Lab is doing. If you work in finance, there are several fintech accelerators run by Techstars. There are accelerators specializing in every industry, so just look for yours and see what's happening in there. My advice is generally to avoid corporate accelerators because they do tend to be less imaginative and less frontier. And when you're doing this, remember, it's not about you betting on a particular startup. It's about you identifying future trends in your industry so you can make a decision about where your industry is going. That's how you're going to lead it. And point 3 on how to become a digital leader today is about generative AI. Generative AI is a game-changing technology, which is why you're hearing about it everywhere. So make it part of your work. The easiest thing to do is to sign up to ChatGPT-4. It's about $20 a month, and just use it for daily tasks. That's how you're going to see what it can do, what it can't do, and learn how to give it prompts that actually give you the results that you want. Because remember, the future does not belong to AI. Don't get freaked out. But it does belong to people who know how to use AI, and you can become one of them. And that, my dear smart listener, brings today's lesson to an end. It's short and sweet and to the point, and that is how I like it. If you found this lesson useful, please do leave the show a rating and a review. It will help me greatly. And if you would like to explore how our executive education programming can help you and your team lead in the digital age, then get in touch via the link in the show notes. We've worked with some of the world's leading corporations like Constellation Brands, Oxford University, and the Royal Bank of Canada. So you will be in excellent company. And on that note, I wish you a wonderful day, and I shall be back in your delightful smart ears next week. Ciao!